Welcome to BOJTV's trending news. 4 top stories in local, regional and international news, along with sports and local weather forecast. I'm Carla. Coming up in our local trending news, the Jamaica Public Service Company says it is spending over $6 to $8 million to upgrade its power distribution network in Harborview, St. Andrew. NWA is spending $94 million on disaster mitigation works. Official funeral accorded for former Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Kenneth Baugh, and 4 more schools to be removed from shift. Now the details. Drain cleaning activities are currently underway in some parishes under the National Works Agency NWA's latest round of island-wide disaster mitigation works. The NWA says the current program, which is valued at approximately $94 million, follows similar work undertaken in June of this year. NWA Communication and Customer Service Manager Stephen Shaw says works have already begun in St. Andrew, St. Elizabeth, St. James and Clarendon, while the location for all other parishes are being finalized. Mr. Shaw explains that contracts under the island-wide disaster mitigation program include the cleaning and shaping of main and side drains, debushing works, as well as the cleaning of catch basins. The NWA notes that contractors engaged under the program are mandated to remove any material removed from the channels in the process of cleaning. Activities under the program are expected to continue over the next few weeks. The disaster mitigation program is the second of 3 routine drain cleaning activities which the NWA undertakes during each calendar year. The agency will again carry out maintenance work on sections of the island's drain network towards the back end of the hurricane season, which ends in November. The Jamaica Public Service Company says it is spending over $6 to $8 million to upgrade its power distribution network in Harborview, St. Andrew as part of an all-island system improvement program. The project includes the replanting of poles and the replacement of old infrastructure, and this will take place over the next few months, culminating in November. JPS says the project is expected to result in significant reduction in outages and generally more reliable service to residents. 20-year-old Dane Dellup, otherwise called Cuz of 3 Miles River in Westmoreland, was arrested and charged following the murder of a man and the injuring of 5 other persons on Great George Street in Savannah, Lamar, Westmoreland on Monday, April 1. Dead is a 56-year-old Anthony Tomlinson, otherwise called Fowler, a taxi operator of Burn Savannah District in Westmoreland. Reports from the Savannah Lamar police are that about 5:05 p.m., a gunman allegedly opened gunfire at a crowd of people along the roadway. When the shooting subsided, 4 persons, including a 6-year-old boy, were seen with gunshot wounds. The police were summoned and the injured persons are taken to hospital, where Tomlinson was pronounced dead. The child and 1 of the men were admitted in stable condition, and the other 2 injured persons treated and released. 1 9mm pistol with a magazine containing 1 9mm cartridge was found at the scene and seized. On Saturday, September 7th, at approximately 11 a.m., police acting on information carried out an operation on Seaton Crescent in Westmoreland, where Tomlinson was nabbed. He was questioned in the presence of his attorney on Monday, September 9, and charged for the offences of murder, 4 counts of wounding with intent, illegal possession of firearm and ammunition. Arrangements are being made for his court appearance. 4 schools will be removed from the shift system in the 2019-2020 fiscal year at a total cost of $93.9 million. They are Exchange All-Age School in St. Anne, which will be upgraded at a cost of $21.9 million. Albert Town High School in Trelawney, $30 million. Cedric Titus High School, also in Trelawney, $12 million. And Port Antonio High in Portland, $30 million. Minister with responsibility for education, youth and information, Carl Samuda, made the disclosure as he responded to questions posed by opposition spokesman on education Ronald Thwaites during the sitting of the House of Representatives on September 10. Mr. Samuda noted that the 4 schools are among 37 institutions that remain on shift. Some of the others are St. James High, Old Harbor High, and Spanish Town High, Bound Brook Primary, Portland, Donald Quarry High and Jonathan Grant High in Kingston, Chapelton All Age in Clarendon, Belfield High and Christiana High in Manchester, Petersfield High in Westmoreland, St Anne's Bay Primary and Seaforth High in St Thomas. The plan is all schools will be taking off shifts. The capital budget is $1.2 billion and $644 million has been budgeted for infrastructure work, Mr. Samuda told the House. Former Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade and Health Minister, the Honourable Dr. Kenneth Lee O'Neill Baugh, OJ, has been accorded an official funeral by the Government of Jamaica. In recognition of Dr. Baugh's significant and sterling contribution to the government and people of Jamaica, the Cabinet on Monday approved official funeral arrangements for the former Cabinet Minister. The official funeral service will be held on September 19 at the University of the West Indies Mona Chapel at 1. Dr. Baugh transitioned on Sunday, September 1, at the age of 78. In addition to his roles in the government, he served as former chairman and former general secretary of the governing Jamaica Labour Party. The former Deputy Prime Minister was born in Montego Bay, St James on February 24, 1941, and was educated at Cornwall College and the University of the West Indies. He was a medical doctor and a politician. During a distinguished political career, Dr. Baugh served as Member of Parliament for North West St James between 1980 and 1987, as a senator from 1989 to 1993, and then a Member of Parliament for West Central St Catherine from 1997 until his retirement in 2016. Dr. Baugh has been described as a soft-spoken politician and commanded the respect of his colleagues on both sides of the divide. Condolence books will be open from Tuesday, September 17 through to Thursday, September 19 at the House of Parliament and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Those were the top stories making local trending news. Now join us for news from across the region as well as our international stories, sports and local weather forecast. From across the region, an estimated 2,500 people are listed as missing in the Bahamas in Hurricane Dorian's aftermath, the government said on Wednesday. But it cautioned that the names had yet to be checked against the rosters of people evacuated from the devastated islands or staying in shelters. Carl Smith, a spokesman for the country's National Emergency Management Agency, said he expected the list to shrink as the names are checked. More than a week after Dorian smashed thousands of homes on the country's Grand Bahama and Abaca Islands, the death toll stood at 50 and was expected to rise, with search and rescue crews still making their way through the ruins. The number of deaths is expected to significantly increase, Prime Minister Hubert Minnis said in a national address on Wednesday night. He said the Bahamas would hold a national day of prayer and named hurricane response coordinators for the two most affected islands. While power has returned to much of Grand Bahama, Smith said the electrical infrastructure around Marsh Harbour, Abaca's largest city, was destroyed. In international news, Zimbabwe's ex-president Robert Mugabe's family and the government appear to be deadlocked today over his final resting place after relatives snubbed a plan for him to be buried at a national monument. Mugabe died in Singapore last week, aged 95, leaving Zimbabweans divided over the legacy of a leader once lauded as a colonial-era liberation hero, but whose autocratic 37-year rule ended in a coup in 2017. After Mugabe's death, his family and President Emerson Mnangagwa appeared at odds over burying him at the National Heroes Acre in Harare or at a private ceremony, likely in the family homestead in Katuma, northwest of the capital. His body will lie in state in Katuma on a Sunday night, followed by a private burial either Monday or Tuesday. No National Heroes Acre. That's the decision of the entire family, his nephew Leo Mugabe said. In a statement, the family accused Mnangagwa of trying to strong-arm them into a public funeral against Mugabe's final wishes. Some family members are still bitter over Mugabe's ouster and the role played by Mnangagwa, a longtime ally from their days as guerrilla fighters who eventually turned against him. Mugabe fired Mnangagwa as first vice president in 2017, a move many perceived as an attempt to position his wife Grace to succeed him after nearly 4 decades of iron-fisted rule. Over in our sporting report, Former champions from Technical and Manning School extended their winning start to the ISA Water Augusta Cup competition with contrasting wins, while Belmont High scored their first ever win in the competition after blanking former champions Godfrey Stewart High 3-0. Despite most of the games being affected by rain yesterday, Frome Technical and Manning School joined 7 other schools that had won their first 2 games. Monroe College, who have won their first 2 games of a season for the first time since 2013, will go after a third win today when they take on Lacovia High at Monroe. 6 games are down to be contested today, with St. Elizabeth Technical High School Stets, as well as Zone G teams Alston High, Homewood Technical and Knox High, all seeking back-to-back wins. The Patrick Jackie Walters coached Monroe College failed to advance from the first round of 2 of the last 3 seasons and face Lacovia High School that has earned 1 point from their 2 games played so far. Yesterday, Giovanni Mito scored in back-to-back games to give Frome Technical a 1-0 win over Green Island at Frome Sports Complex. Manning School continued their good start, blanking Maud McLeod 3-0 in their game played in Savannah Lamar. Belmont High grabbed a share of the spotlight, however, after rebounding from their big loss to Mannings on Monday to score their maiden win in the competition at the expense of the 2005 champions. Greenpond High maintained their lead in Zone A on goal difference after coming from behind to earn a 1-1 draw against Cornwall College, snapping a 13-game losing skid to the 12-time champions. St. James High edged Irwin High 1-0 at Jarrett Park to join Anchovy High on 3 points after the latter's game against Mullan High was rained out at half-time, with the score tied at 1-1. Herbert Morrison took the lead in Zone C after outscoring Cedric Titus 4-3 in Montego Bay, leading 4-1 at one time before the Trelawney School staged a comeback and almost grabbed a point. On our local weather forecast, insignificant feature, a trough across Jamaica. The trough is expected to remain across Jamaica over the next few days, resulting in afternoon and evening thunderstorms. The forecast for this afternoon will see scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly across central and western parishes. Tonight, isolated showers and thunderstorms mainly across northern parishes. Maximum temperature expected for Kingston as well as Montego Bay is 33 degrees Celsius. That was BOJTV's trending news, your top local, regional and international stories, as well as sports report and weather forecast. Until next time, I'm Carla. Thanks for watching.